Hey, fabulous people. Okay, so I feel like it's really important that I do a video on dissecting basically the interview between Sean Hannity and Roy Moore, because I think it helps explain why Sean Hannity is in so much trouble right now. See, the thing is, Sean Hannity, what happened in that interview was Sean Hannity realized really early on that Roy Moore was a complete and total disaster. And so what he basically tried to do was coach him through the interview. And then that's why they took a break abruptly at one point, because I think he was like, look, you are an utter, complete, and total fucking disaster. How the hell did you get on the Alabama Supreme Court? Like, I don't even understand that. How did you get through law school? It's just shocking to me. And the thing that's even more shocking is the fact that someone as inept as Sean Hannity, somebody who just literally, one of the most inept, obtuse human beings I've ever heard speak, Sean Hannity was able to understand the implications of what was transpiring, and Roy Moore couldn't. This was somebody who was allegedly an attorney. But nevertheless, what Sean Hannity did was immoral. It was wrong. And people keep on saying all this stuff about, oh my God, the liberals are always just trying to dox somebody, trying to ruin someone's career. I'm so angry. Social justice warriors, you social justice warriors. The truth is, are you kidding me? Roy Moore is being accused of actually pedophilia. I mean, besides murder, I'm not really sure there's any crime that even remotely compares to that. You legitimately ruin children's lives forever when you do these kind of things. This is not something that we as a society should ever condone in any form. And so the reason why Sean Hannity is getting blasted is because of what he did in this particular interview. And I'm going to dissect this interview and parts of the interview that were so questionable that Sean Hannity deserves the backlash that he's getting right now. Here's the first one.
She said that you asked her out on the first of several dates, but nothing progressed beyond kissing.
I don't remember specific dates. No, I do not. And I don't remember if it was that time or later, but I do not remember that. No.
But you know her, but you never dated her ever. Is that what you're saying?
Know her, but I don't remember going out on dates. I knew her as a friend. If we did go out on dates, then we did, but I do not remember that.
What?
As you can see, Roy Moore is not necessarily denying there actually were any dates between him and this girl, right? Roy Moore's not denying. He's saying, I don't know if it was that time period or another time period, which is essentially saying, I did go out with this girl. I just don't know when it was. I can't remember exactly when it was, whether it was that time period or another time period. Okay. Then Sean Hannity says, okay, so you do know these girls, but you don't remember going on with them ever. Is that what you're saying? That's not what he said. And Sean Hannity knew that was not what he said. Okay. So Sean Hannity's basically trying to get him to say he never went out with those girls ever, which is something that is completely disingenuous, because that is not what Roy Moore is saying. Roy Moore is saying that they might have gone on dates. He can't remember the dates, though. That's all he's saying. Okay, here's the next part.
What about Gloria Thacker Deason? Says she was an 18-year-old cheerleader when you began taking her on dates that included bottles of Mateus Rosé wine. She's 18 at the time. The Alabama drinking age at the time is 19. Did that ever happen?
No, because in this county, it's a dry county. We never would have had liquor. If I would never. And I believe this, she said that she believed she was underage. And she, as I recall, she was 19 or older. And that just never happened. I've never provided alcohol, beer, or intoxicating liquors to a minor. That would be against the law, against anything I would have ever done. And I seem to remember her as a good girl. I seem to remember that I had some sort of knowledge of her parents or her mother, very in particular.
Okay, why did Sean Hannity need to tell him, somebody who was part of the Alabama Supreme Court, that the legal drinking age in Alabama at that time was 19? Why did he need to tell him that? See, he's telling him that because he realized that Roy Moore is such an utter disaster. So he needs to make sure that he did not incriminate himself in any possible way. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on an Alabama child abuse case. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But what I can say is what Sean Hannity thought at that time was like, look, I'm going to remind you that the legal drinking age was 19. So you need to make sure that you understand that you cannot say that you took this girl out for a drink when she was 18 years old because you were not allowed to do that at that time. Okay, that is so inappropriate. If you're really trying to get to the truth, you're not going to coach somebody at all. And you claim you're all about getting to the truth, but you really weren't trying to get to the truth. You were trying to help a pedophile. Here's the next clip.
Do you remember these girls? Would it be unusual for you as a 32-year-old guy to have dated a woman as young as 17? That'd be a, 15-year difference, or a girl 18. Do you remember dating girls that young at that time?
Not generally, no. If I did, I'm not going to dispute anything, but I don't remember anything like that.
But you don't specifically remember having any girlfriend that was in her late teens even at that time?
No, I don't remember that, and I don't remember ever dating any girl without the permission of her mother. And I think in her statement, she said that her mother actually encouraged her to go out with me.
Why would you need to say that? Is it usual for you as a 32-year-old man to date girls this young as 17? Why would he need to tell him young? That's the operative word there, young, because he's trying to remind him, look, this is what you're being accused of, being with young girls. You have to say that you did not date girls this young. Obviously, Roy Moore is too much of a buffoon to understand that. But nevertheless, that's what Sean Hannity's trying to do here. He's trying to tell him, look, do you understand what you're being accused of here? You can't say that you did, even if you did. That's why I'm saying as young as, reminding you that this is the problem here, the age of these girls. Okay, here's the next part.
That was the third case. Let me go back to Korfman for a minute here, because this is the issue here. She gives specific instances where the first that you met her at the courthouse, you got her phone number, you talked to her on the phone, and you drove her 30 minutes from her house to the woods and where you lived, and you kissed her, and on a second visit you took off her shirt, pants, removed your clothes, touched her bra, underpants, and you guided her hand to touch him over your underwear. Now, those are specific charges she's making. And I think, obviously.
Okay, you see what Sean Hannity's doing here, right? He's trying to now steer the issue over to just this one particular 14-year-old. Just her. Let's just make sure that my audience understands, okay, yeah, we know that you've been, you're basically a pedophile. But let me just make sure that people don't think you slept with a 14-year-old because that was a crime. So let's just go back to this particular issue because that's the issue here. That's what he says. That's the issue here. And that is so disingenuous. That's not the only issue here. The fact that this guy is admitting that he, as a grown man in his 30s, was dating young girls that were teenagers, he is a pedophile. He was preying on young girls, and do not believe that this is the end of the story. Here's the next clip.
Touched her bra, underpants, and you guided her hand to touch him over your underwear. Now, those are specific charges she's making. And I think, obviously it's about a month away from this election campaign.
Yeah.
Are you saying is it your position none of that ever happened?
It never happened, and I don't even like hearing it because it never happened, and they're doing this a month away, 4 weeks away, after 40 years in public service.
Why does Sean Hannity bring up the fact that it was a month away from the election campaign? Why did he bring that up? And you notice that Roy Moore used that right afterwards to justify what he alleged was transpiring here, which it was just some kind of political attack that wasn't really legitimately true, even though Roy Moore, throughout that interview, was saying that he had dates with young girls. He just couldn't remember the dates of those things. And all of a sudden now you're reminding him that the election is 30 days away. Why are you bringing up the election? Because you're trying to remind him what he needs to say and what he needs to focus on and say these are just political attacks. That's the reason why Sean Hannity did that. So again, Sean Hannity is basically trying to mask the fact that Roy Moore exhibited pedophilia behavior. Period. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to mask that particular issue. He's trying to cover it up and pretend as though this is not really a real issue. This is just a political attack.
You mentioned you'd never go out with any young girl. I assume you meant like when you were 32 at that time of your life. Would you always ask the permission of the parent before you would take a girl out?
Well, I'm saying that in their statements that they made, these two young girls said their mothers actually encouraged them to be friends with me. And, that's what they said. I don't remember. I wasn't privy to their conversation, but obviously we never had any sexual activity. There was never anything like that, and the behavior was altogether appropriate, according to them.
I got to take a break. We'll come back more with Judge Roy.
Okay, see, he reminds him again. We're talking about a young girl. But he also, you see, Roy Moore is basically saying that it involves a 14-year-old young girl. That's the issue, basically, because that's what Sean Hannity wanted him to say. But what he's also saying here is that you say you don't date young girls, but would you always have to go and ask the permission of the mother when you go? And he's like, oh, that's what the girls are saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what Sean Hannity was trying to remind him again here is that, look, this is not looking good. This looks like, this is a story about you and young girls. Are you not getting it? Like, hello, wake up, you stupid idiot. This is what this story is about. He didn't get it, and Roy Moore didn't get it, and that is the reason why Sean Hannity took a break. And that's the reason why the second half of the interview, they take this long break, and then when they come back from the break, all of a sudden Roy Moore's like, it never happened. I didn't date young girls. It'd be against my customary nature. All this other nonsense that you can tell that he was coached afterwards, saying like, look, you sound like shit. You are in so much trouble if you do not figure out this right here. That's what happened. And the reason why people are so angry with Sean Hannity is because of this conduct right here. If this was a Democrat, would he be giving the Democrat the benefit of a doubt? Is it only, are you really seriously, it only matters that you're going to win a particular election? That's all you care about? You don't care about the kind of person that you're going to be electing? And now it's alleged that Breitbart is out here and they're going to basically go after these women that had the audacity to speak up. Really, you're going to encourage other young girls to speak up even more. I'm telling you, that's just a great idea. This is absurd. And that's the reason why people are complaining about Sean Hannity. So people need to stop pretending as though it's just social justice warriors. Social justice warriors. Like, okay, like, who cares what he says? It doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter when you have a platform where you can talk to millions of people at a time. You're trying to convince millions of people that the only real issue is the one that he's denying. Who cares about the fact that he was chasing down young teenage girls? Who cares about that? That's irrelevant. That's completely irrelevant. And the thing is, you got caught, Sean Hannity. You got caught. People realized that you were being disingenuous, that you were actually trying to protect a pedophile. And that's what happened. And I keep hearing all this noise. Oh, we're going to ban all the places that are banning Sean Hannity. Ban them. Because you will go down with Sean Hannity as one of those people who is supporting pedophilia. But if you have any self-respect, you realize what you heard here was a man that was admitting that he had relationships with young girls when this man was in his 30s. This man was in a position of power. He was an attorney. He was actually, I think he was a district attorney, which means he was a state attorney. He had a lot of power. This guy was sitting there preying on young girls. One of the girls was literally at the courthouse for a custody hearing between her two parents. And this is when he decided to prey on her. This is a predator. So bye-bye, Sean Hannity. As a matter of fact, you don't deserve your show. You don't deserve the platform that you have. You don't deserve it at all because you've abused it by allowing a predator to get on your platform and you there trying to coach him out of admitting to the fact that he damaged young women's lives because of his predatory behavior. I hope every single solitary sponsor you have ever had bans your ass.